Sophia came home that night with a light smile, as if nothing unusual had happened. She carried herself casually, but I didn't return her smile. Instead, I met her eyes with a stare as cold as ice and said in a firm voice, "You have 10 minutes to sign the divorce papers and leave." What she didn't expect was the presence of another woman that night. Adrian's wife, Amal. Her arrival turned the evening into one Sophia would never forget. When I first met Sophia, I truly believed she was the one. She was intelligent, ambitious, and magnetic. Everything I wanted in a partner. Our lives were busy, both of us tied to demanding careers. She as a financial consultant, and I'm managing a luxury hospitality brand. Yet, I thought we always found our way back to each other. I couldn't have been more wrong. The changes began quietly. She used to guard our dinner time together, but then the late nights at the office became more frequent. I brushed it off, thinking it was just work. I didn't want to seem insecure, so I trusted her. But one evening, while we sat together watching TV, her phone buzzed. She quickly silenced it and flipped it face down. "Who's that?" I asked casually. "Just a client being too persistent," she replied, her tone light, but her stiff shoulders and tight grip on the phone betrayed her. That night, the seed of doubt was planted, and it only grew from there. Soon, there were too many coincidences, late nights, missed calls, hidden texts. It became impossible to ignore. One evening, while she was out for another so-called client meeting, I checked her laptop. She had forgotten to log out of her email. What I read shattered me. Intimate and explicit exchanges with a man named Adrian. These weren't harmless messages. They detailed their secret rendezvous at fine restaurants and boutique hotels. The worst part? I knew Adrian. I'd met him at one of Sophia's work events. That night, the way they stood a little too close and laughed too loudly suddenly made perfect sense. But words on a screen weren't enough. I needed undeniable proof. So I hired a private investigator. Within weeks, I had everything. Photos, videos, receipts. Her betrayal was undeniable. What cut even deeper was learning that Adrian's wife, Amal, had no idea. I sent her everything anonymously, with just a note. "You deserve to know. If you want to talk, call me." She did. Amal was devastated, but composed. We met in a quiet cafe and laid out all the evidence, all the pain. Her voice trembled, but her eyes burned with determination. "I'm going to confront him," she said. But I wanted to sting. That fire in her eyes struck a chord with me. "Then let's do it together," I replied. She gave me a small, sharp smile. "I like the way you think." We spent weeks planning the perfect confrontation. Everything had to be precise. Sophia told me she'd be working late on Saturday. I already knew where she'd be, dining with Adrian, Amal, and I'd booked a table in advance at the same restaurant. Hidden in a corner, we watched them arrive hand in hand, laughing like they had no cares in the world. When their meals arrived, Amal and I stood and walked to their table. The moment they saw us, their faces drained of color. The restaurant fell into an uneasy silence. "Sophia," I said evenly, "you forgot to mention you'd be dining with Adrian tonight. And you, Adrian," Amal added icily, "seem to have been busier than I realized." Sophia's panic was immediate. "Jacob, please, I can explain." "You'll have time," I interrupted, placing a folder on the table. "Divorce papers. You have 10 minutes to sign." "Divorce!" She gasped as if the word itself was alien. "You're overreacting." "No, Sophia. What's ridiculous is you thinking I'd never find out. What's absurd is how easily you threw away our marriage." Adrian tried to rise, but Amal slammed her hand down on his arm. "Sit. We're not finished." She pulled out her own folder. "This will be on your company's desk Monday morning. Let's see how they feel about their CFO misusing company money to wine and dine his mistress." Adrian's face went pale. "You wouldn't?" "Oh, I already have," Amal replied coldly. Sophia left that night with nothing but her handbag. By the next morning, the locks on my house were changed. Her belongings were delivered to her parents. She tried calling, texting, even showing up at my workplace, but I never once responded. The divorce went through quickly, and she walked away with far less than she ever imagined. Adrian's downfall was swift. Amal kept her promise. His company fired him, and soon everyone knew about the affair. She filed for divorce, leaving him alone and disgraced. The last I heard, he was living in a rundown apartment, far from the luxury he once flaunted. Amal and I stayed in touch. At first, it was just for support, helping each other rebuild. But in time, something deeper formed: mutual respect, shared strength, and understanding. Betrayal cuts deep, but it also clears a path forward. The truth isn't just about exposing lies. It's about ensuring those who cause the pain never forget it. In the end, justice isn't always about revenge. Sometimes, it's about standing tall in the ruins, knowing you survive with your dignity intact.